This video presentation is specifically designed for parents of children who do not demonstrate learning or behavior struggles until kindergarten or beyond. The first day of school. Every child gets excited about going to school for the very first time. Each one heads to school wanting to learn. Every child wants to feel successful. Every child wants to be happy. These are the same dreams all parents have for their children. All parents want the best of everything possible for their children. The first day of school brings with it all the possibilities to fulfill all those dreams we hope for and wish for our children. Administrators and teachers also look forward to a bright beginning and have the same kind of dreams and hopes for all their students. In spite of our hopes, dreams, and desires, there are some children, through no fault of their own or their parents, who will start to show signs of struggle. Some children have a difficult time adjusting to social rules and expectations. Some children are perhaps not developmentally ready to handle all the age-appropriate reading and math skills required of most children. Some children have learning or behavioral difficulties that need more intervention than a general education teacher alone can provide. The first time most parents learn that their child is struggling is usually from the child's classroom teacher. Teachers never look forward to the moment that they have to share this news with parents. It's something no parent wants to hear. Every parent reacts to this news in their own way. It is normal for parents to have thoughts and feelings such as,
"I was so sad.
I knew something was wrong.
We felt so alone. We were frustrated. I felt so guilty. I was angry.
Why us?" What happens when a child struggles with behavior, learning, or both? Each school building has procedures in place to help teachers and parents deal with these concerns. Most children who struggle can benefit from the problem-solving and assistance that can happen within general education itself. Collaboration among teachers, among principals and teachers, in conjunction with working with parents, can often make the difference for children who struggle. Trying different techniques and using a variety of research-based instruction and interventions often leads to improved academic performance. Using frequent assessments of student progress helps teachers figure out what needs to be taught next. Working together with parents and other staff in analyzing behavior concerns and coming up with effective behavior-changing strategies often leads to improved behavior for children who have a history of struggling with behavior. In the early days of special education, it was believed by many that testing and evaluating children and placing them into special education programs and services would fix the struggles. It was once believed that when a child caught up with learning or behavior, they could then re-enter the general education setting with their peers. This is not what happened in most cases. Many children who were pulled out of general education too early and for too long was that these children missed out on too much of the general curriculum. The more they were excluded from their general education peers and curriculum, the less likely they were to ever catch up or benefit from the general curriculum setting. The research over the years has shown that teaching children the general curriculum alongside their peers, as much as possible, is the best approach for most children. With the right techniques, Over time, many children are able to make gains and close the gap between what they can do and what they are expected to do in the general education classroom. With the help of staff members, parents, administrators, and learning and behavioral specialists, most children who struggle will make sufficient gains to stay in the general education setting most of the time. For many other children who struggle, making accommodations and adjusting how subjects are taught and how student progress is assessed and measured allows even those who continue to struggle a chance to stay in the general education classroom with their peers, benefit from the general curriculum, and graduate from high school. Here are some examples of accommodations. Sitting closer to the teacher or front of the classroom. Providing extra time to complete work. Providing verbal instructions along with written instructions. Providing guidance to start and finish a given task. The chance to take tests orally if the child struggles with reading and writing. The use of calculators and other types of assistive technology, such as universal readers. And for children with behavior struggles, these children can benefit greatly from having a behavior intervention plan. The prevailing research supports the notion that most children who struggle need early interventions within general education, supported by assistance from parents and specialists without the need for special education testing, programming, or services. However, even after several months of efforts, there are some children who do not show adequate progress in learning and/or behavior, in spite of all the interventions and efforts put into place within the general education classroom. Evaluating a child for special education programming and services should come only after teachers, parents, and administrators feel that they have tried their best and exhausted all the opportunities that can be provided within the general education setting itself. The first step in the special education process is to hold a meeting to develop a student evaluation plan. Parents are always invited to this meeting. Parents are the most important and critical members of the team that develops the plan. Who else needs to be at this meeting? An administrative representative must always be at that meeting. The district representative must be qualified to provide or supervise the provision of specially designed instruction to meet the unique needs of children with disabilities. Also, is knowledgeable about the general education curriculum and is knowledgeable about the availability of resources of the local educational agency. The child's general education teacher is also a required member of the team. These are the people who can provide the most information about how your child performs in the classroom in both learning and behavior. A special education teacher or provider is also required to participate. Since the primary reason for this first meeting is to consider the need for special education, the person with the most knowledge about what special education provides or not is usually the special education teacher or provider. Depending on the type of learning or behavior concerns, other education specialists may attend the meeting. Teacher consultants for children who have autism spectrum disorder, hearing, or visual impairments may attend. When there are speech and language concerns, speech and language therapists may attend the meeting. Occupational and physical therapists may attend when physical development is a concern. When learning or behavior are concerns, school psychologists and social workers may attend the meeting. The group of people who attend is collectively known as the IEP team. IEPT stands for Individualized Education Program Team. This IEP team will review the history of the learning and/or behavior struggles. The team will review interventions that have been tried to date, both at home and at school. This IEP team will also seek parent input and concerns. If, at that point, the IEP team decides that the child should be referred to consider special education, the IEP team will then complete the student evaluation plan. Once the IEP team determines what kinds of evaluations and testing are needed, if any, parents then have the opportunity to sign the form and give their permission to do the evaluations recommended by the team over the next 30 school days. What kind of evaluation and testing? Depending on what the team learns about your child by discussing classroom experiences, observations, records, and listening to your input, evaluations and testing custom-made for your child's needs will be recommended. There are federal and state laws that govern what happens once a child is referred for special education. Although most parents are pleased with the special education process, the process itself builds in procedures for those rare times when parents and school representatives do not agree. Each parent is given a copy of the Notice of Procedural Safeguards when they are invited to their first special education meeting and are given the opportunity to review those safeguards before each meeting begins. Once parents give permission to do the evaluations recommended by the IEP team and written out on the student evaluation plan, the formal special education process begins. During the next 30 school days, your child will be evaluated. Once the evaluations are completed, the IEP team members from the school staff will put the results of the evaluations into a report for parents. This report is called a multidisciplinary evaluation team report, which is more commonly known as the MET report. The next required meeting must be held within 30 school days from the time that the school receives your signed permission to do the evaluations. However, depending on the nature of the evaluations, you and the district representative may agree to extend the timeline when circumstances allow. The next meeting is called an Individualized Education Program Team Meeting, or IEPT meeting. Once again, the required IEP team members are the district representative, your child's general education teacher or teachers, a special education teacher or provider, a person who can explain the results of the evaluations. This is usually the school psychologist, speech and language therapist, school social worker, or teacher consultant, and other team members as necessary. And, of course, you, the parent. Parents will also note on their invitation letter that they may bring anyone who has knowledge about their child to the IEP team meeting to help them. What will the IEP team do at the IEPT meeting? The purpose of the meeting is to have a group of knowledgeable people, including you, the parent, make decisions as a team. No single individual can make IEP team decisions. At the IEP team meeting, the team must complete IEP forms. Nowadays, this often is done electronically with the assistance of a computer. These forms are the place for the school district to document that they have followed the requirements for developing a proper IEP. Once everyone signs into the meeting on the first page of the IEP forms, and once parents have been given an opportunity to review their procedural safeguards, the actual agenda of the IEP team meeting begins. The IEP team usually starts out by talking about your child's strengths and talents. Next, the IEP team will go over the results of the evaluations and recommendations reported within the MET report. If the MET report does not support eligibility for special education programs or services, and the IEP team agrees, the IEP team will check that your child is not eligible and must document the reasons for that decision. The IEP team meeting is nearly complete at that point. One other page needs to be filled out. That is the page that has the signatures of the district representative and parent, indicating that they agree with the IEP team decision that your child is not eligible for special education services. Once you sign the form, the IEP team process and special education procedures end. However, the team may still discuss your child's needs and evaluations and try to come up with additional interventions and accommodations that will help your child at home and at school. If your child is found to be eligible for special education services, the team must follow the entire IEP agenda and complete all the IEP forms. The purpose of the IEP for those children who are eligible is to develop an individualized education program specific to your child's learning needs. The IEP team will take the time to discuss each section on the IEP forms as a group. One of the first sections the team will discuss is the most important part of the IEP, your child's present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. In this section, the team will discuss your child's learning weaknesses and document how these weaknesses get in the way of doing well within the general education setting. Based on that discussion, the IEP team will develop annual goals and classroom accommodations or curriculum modifications. The goals will include objectives. While the present level of academic achievement shows where your child is at the beginning of the IEP year, the objectives show the level the team would like to see your child reach by the end of the IEP year. The least restrictive environment will also be a major consideration for the IEP team. The IEP team will consider if your child needs to be placed into a resource program, perhaps into a special education classroom where specialized instruction is provided for children with more severe learning disabilities or cognitive or emotional impairments. The IEP team will also discuss if your child only needs a service, such as speech therapy, or needs a service in addition to placement into a program. Other services that may be discussed include teacher consultant services or occupational or physical therapy. The amount of time your child needs to spend in a program or service is also determined by the team. Additionally, for older students, it is extremely important that the IEP team addresses transition planning. Finally, after the IEP team addresses other important considerations, the IEP team paperwork is completed and needs your approval. If you agree with the plan, you sign an agreement, and whatever decisions made regarding your child's individual program will start as soon as possible. This all sounds like serious and very important business, and it is. This is about your child. In most cases, with parents and school personnel working together as a team, many things will get better for your child, both at home and at school. Plus, remember, IEPs are not forever. A group of people try to make the best decisions they can at any given time. Once a plan is in place for a while, anyone from the IEP team, including you, can ask to reconvene the IEP team meeting to review the IEP and, if necessary, make changes. In any case, IEPs can only last up to 12 months. By the end of each 12 months, the IEP team must develop a new IEP for your child. Most parents are happy with the IEP team process and their child's IEPs. However, there may be times when parents and school staff do not agree when making IEPT decisions. It is okay not to agree. Usually, if you do not agree, the best thing to do is keep on talking with the IEP team members to try and come up with a plan that is agreeable to everyone. When needed, IEP team meetings can adjourn and the IEP team can come back together at another time to finish the IEP. However, in those rare situations where parents and school personnel cannot come to an agreement, there are procedural safeguards that will guide you through the steps that are available to resolve any issue. Special education procedures can oftentimes seem confusing and overwhelming. There may be times that parents need additional help to navigate through the maze of procedures, rules, and regulations. It is important for parents to remember how important they are in the entire process. Teamwork is the key for any successful collaboration between schools and parents. Since parents are the most important members of the IEP team, they should always feel comfortable sharing information, asking questions, and raising concerns. Those people who deal with these procedures on a daily basis may sometimes not realize that they use terms and describe things that don't make sense to people who don't deal with these issues all the time. If you need additional help, there are many resources to help you. Please talk to your child's teacher and building principal if you have any questions. Consult your parent handbook that includes a list of several organizations parents can contact for help. Parents may also contact other school professionals to assist them and to learn about other resources that may be available. What can you do as a parent to help? Learn all you can about your child's disability or impairment. Come to all meetings. Please try to feel comfortable and part of the team. Learn how to advocate for your child. Be patient with yourself, your child's teacher, and the people who are trying their best to help. Be kind to your child, yourself, and school staff. And always be positive and hopeful. Are there any guarantees? No. Some children will make great gains in their learning and or behavior, sometimes to the point of not needing an IEP any longer. Many other children may have learning or behavior struggles that will require an IEP to be in place until they graduate. Many of those dreams we have for our children on that first day of school will come true, even if they do struggle. These days, with all the additional help in general education and the extra support that comes with an IEP, dreams do come true, even if it takes longer, or if the child has to travel a slightly different path to get there. With your help and collaboration, dreams can come true.